My boyfriend says I ruined our relationship because of my period. I, 23 female, and my boyfriend, 30 male, have been dating for 2 years. We don't live together because I don't want to live with his roommates, and I won't let him move in with me because I live in a small studio behind my landlord's house. The space just isn't large enough. I was the only girl in my house growing up with 5 brothers. I know men don't like to know about this stuff. My dad and brothers always made me throw my women things in the outside trash, and I was never allowed to talk about it. You guys, women think she's talking about our pads. And I know I'm going to be with my boyfriend, or if I'm at work in public, I will use a disc. I don't know what that is. They work okay for short periods of time for me, but at night when I'm going to be alone, I will use those disposable underwear. You guys, what is a disc? I don't worry about tossing around at night and leaking. I don't have to think about getting TSS, and honestly, I cramp less. But they look like a diaper, and I know that's not sexy. My boyfriend had a weekend trip to Vegas planned, leave Friday and come back Monday. I was on my period, knew he would be out of town, so I decided to sleep comfortably. Something happened on the trip and they ended up coming back late Sunday instead of Monday. He decided not to tell me because he wanted to surprise me. So I went to bed Sunday night around 9 like always. At some point in the middle of the night, he slipped into bed with me. When he got into bed, he felt the period underwear and freaked out. He said I was gross for just laying in there in the blood. I got up, took a shower, and changed into a disc. When I laid back down, you guys, I think a disc means a tampon. When I laid back down, he just ignored me and went to sleep. I went to work and didn't inform him on Monday. Tuesday afternoon, he came over to talk and said when he thinks about me, all he can see is a child wearing a underwear. He asked if I used them, and I said of course not. But he says he doesn't believe me, that I'm a horrible girlfriend for hiding this fetish from him. That he's wasted all of this time and energy in our relationship. I try to explain why I use them when he's not around and that I know they aren't attractive. He's talking about the underwear. That I'll stop using them altogether because I love him and I don't want to ruin our relationship. He said he'll think about it, but he wants to talk to my doctor about getting on a different birth control so I don't have my period at all because now that the thought of me having one grosses him out. I told him I don't want to change birth controls. So now he says I'm an a-hole for not being willing to do something so simple to make him feel better. I told him I needed a few days to get a hold of my doctor. I have an appointment on Friday. Am I the a-hole if I decide not to change birth controls? Update. I canceled the doctor's appointment. I'm reading through everyone's comments. There's so many I can't respond. I want to clear a few things up though. Him coming in while I was sleeping, he had permission to do that for most of our relationship because he works very early in the morning and would wake me up so we can spend time together on days we wouldn't see each other later. So not that was not attempted rape or a concern at all. As a teen, my best friend's mom is who bought me pads. My mom passed away when I was 9. Some people messaged me during those conversations. A few more things have connected, and yeah, I'm going to break up with him. There are other things he's done that I didn't think were problems, and they are. Thank you for helping me. And she made another update. I took the little bit of stuff he had here to his apartment while he was at work. I met with him after he got off and told him I wasn't going to change birth control. And after thinking about his reaction and a few other conversations I had no interest in being with him anymore. He threw a tantrum, saying I'm never going to find someone who loves me like him, and a lot of other gross things I don't want to repeat. When I got home, I thanked my landlord for telling me to post here and told her what the outcome was. Just so everyone isn't worried, you have to go through a gate with a code to get where my studio is. I've changed my access code so he can get in, and I gave the night security his car information and a photo just to be safe. There are so many comments, I can't respond to all of them. Thank you for all of the advice, and not only about the situation, but many of you commented about my upbringing and that there are some things I need to work through. I'm going to do that. Thanks for everything. I'm just so shocked. It's literally 2024, and people are still, when I say people, I'm talking about men, are still trying to make a big deal out of periods. Am I the a-hole for saying my memory book is not some family project? I, 17 male, lost my dad 10 years ago. When he got sick, he started a memory book with me so that I could hold on to the memories. He did one for my sister too, but she wasn't as into it and was more into videos he made of himself. But for me, the memory book was everything, and after he died, I continued adding to it. Any memory I had of my dad or family, I would add. Sometimes something came back when I found a random photo or something. Then I included memories with my sister after dad. Sometimes I included some memories of mom, but after dad died, my relationship with her was harder. She thought we needed another dad, and because we said we didn't want another dad, she was angry with us a lot. She tried to rush a couple of relationships, but they failed when the guy realized he was not getting an insta-happy family. 5 years ago, my mom met her husband John and they merged families. John was a single dad of 3 kids, technically. He has 4 kids, but one is not in his life. John's 3 kids do not have involved mom, so my mom has stepped up to be their mom. They call her mom. John has tried to step up to be mine and my sister's dad, but we see him as just a stepdad. John's kids are just step siblings, and I don't love John and his kids. I don't hate or dislike them, but I wouldn't ever include them in my memory book, for example. And that's what this is about. My step-siblings were in my room when I was in school a couple of weeks ago, and they found the memory book. They wanted to know why I had it and why I didn't have photos of their dad or them. My mom heard them ask those questions, and she demanded to look through it. While mom was going through it, my step-siblings said they wanted to add their own stuff, and I said no, it's not for them. Mom told me not to say that kind of thing to them, and then she told me it should be something that shares memory of our whole family. I told her it was my personal thing. She took away for a few days, and my sister stole it back, and then I asked my grandpa to hold on to it for me. Mom and John sat me down and said it's not acceptable that I have a memory book that's clearly about my family when I don't include my whole existing family. They said my step-siblings were very upset that I wouldn't add them or let them take part. They then said it should be a family thing, and Mom insisted I hand it back over and we all work on it together. I told them it's not a family project, it's mine. It's for me and my way of documenting memories of the people I love, and they will not take it away from me. John was so pissed and said, "Oh, so it's like that? So you don't love us?" Mom told me, and she and John had the right to say what was or wasn't a family project, and once it's in their home, that's their decision. She also told me I was disrespectful for talking back. They also told me it was time to man up. Am I the a-hole? Top comment. Not the a-hole. This was something special between you and your dad. They can't just take it over because of their wants. They can make their own memory book if they want, but keep your memory book to yourself. I would keep it at Grandpa's because I could see them steal it, ruining it with their own stuff. And I definitely agree because I don't understand like people who are just so malicious towards their innocent children, because why is this mom acting like this? She's literally trying to, be rude and disrespectful to her own damn son over what? To impress a man? It's really not that deep. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to shut the F up when he told me to stop breastfeeding? I, 25 female, and my husband, 26 male, had our baby 5 months ago. We both live together. I've always been exclusively breastfeeding, which has been tough, not going to lie. I have breastfed in public, but I never do it openly. I openly breastfeed in my own home. We haven't had anyone over since we brought our baby home. My husband brought up the idea of his friends coming over again on the weekend like he did before. I get along with his friends, and he brought them over every other Saturday or Sunday, so I didn't have a problem with this. Last Sunday, his friends came over, and they were playing video games. I usually just hang out on the couch while they do their thing, or just hang out in the bedroom. I hang out in the bedroom breastfeeding my baby, and I got hungry, so I went into the kitchen to get something. You can see into the kitchen from the living room, but I didn't think it would be a big deal since I was literally just feeding our baby. My husband and his friends noticed me, but his friends just looked over and just continued what they were doing. And my husband looked pissed, and he came into the kitchen and whispered to me to please don't breastfeed right now, right here. I told him I was hungry and this is our home and I don't need to cover up. He kept pleading with me to just go back upstairs. I told him to shut the F up. He got pissed off and told me doing that around his friends is weird. His friends obviously heard this and they were awkwardly listening. I was so pissed off and upset I just went back into the room and just waited for everyone to go home. My husband has been pissed off since this. And he told me he will probably not bring them back here again if I'm going to do that, and that I made his friends feel uncomfortable. I don't know if what I did really was weird or not, but I didn't have a wrong intention. I'm just breastfeeding. Am I the a-hole? Personally, you guys, I think it's very funny how people, and just in society in general, likes to is it demonize? I don't know. Likes to act like, what do you call it, women breastfeeding in public or women breastfeeding other people is so nasty and immodest and disgusting thing to do. But society normalized women going to the beaches with bikinis, like tiny bikini tops with boobs hanging out, almost about to fall out. Models on photos of pictures of them in the mall with boobs almost falling out. Watching explicit, what do you call it, videos, adult videos with breast fully out, but God forbid a woman breastfeeds. And then not everybody wants to play the whole, oh, what about modesty? What about this? What about this? What about that? Like, yeah, I don't care about any other time, but as soon as a woman uses her boobs for what she actually is supposed to be using it for, which is to breastfeed and nurture her child, then now it's an issue. And now it's a modesty issue. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for yelling at my mom for continuing to discuss my grieving brother's love life? For context, I, 21 female, am currently living with my older brother, 31 male, as he lives near the university I attend. We were always close just by our age gap. He sadly lost his wife 5 years ago in a car accident. They had 3 kids, 11 male, 9 female, and 6 male. Since then, my brother has thrown himself into his work, and part of the reason I wanted to live with him was to help him out with my nephew's niece, who due to our ages are more like younger siblings to me. My brother has never shown any interest in dating again, and has told our family many times that he doesn't plan on remarrying or moving on, especially to our mom, who's always trying to set him up with some friend's daughter or another. Right now, she's visiting for a few weeks. When my brother came home from work last night, we were sitting around for a bit after the kids went to sleep. My mom started with her usual asking if there was anyone new in his life, which there wasn't, and then moved on to the, I know you still miss her, but it's been so many years. Your poor kids are so sad because they don't have a mom. Don't you think that you should do something about that? Angela's daughter just got her MBA, and she just went on for a bit. It was very uncomfortable as I could see my brother didn't want to have this conversation again. He got up and excused himself. She turned and asked me what was wrong with him, and I basically told her that she needed to stop acting like such an overbearing heartbeat. I never heard of that word before. Heartbeat, and that's why he hasn't moved back home, and she needs to stop pushing this on him. She yelled at me for not thinking of my niece and nephews and wanting him to die alone. I said that at least I was the one thinking about his feelings and not a new wedding to plan. She went upstairs upset, and later my dad also called, I guess. She told him what happened. He said that I was very disrespectful and that my mother was just trying to look out for my brother. I should have just stayed out of it, and that she was really hurt. Now I feel bad because I know she means well. My words may have been unnecessarily harsh, but I don't know. Because living with my brother, I have seen how much he misses and loves my late sister-in-law. And my mother's insistence just seems cruel. My brother tells me how this all bothers him, but he's given up trying to tell our mom. Am I the a-hole for telling her, or should I have minded my own business? I feel like she's not the a-hole, and I don't think the mom is a big a-hole, because I feel like she just wants her son to be happy and just to move on with his life and to be with someone new again and to find new love and new happiness. But I feel like at some point, if someone tells you to leave them alone, you probably should just leave them alone. Am I the a-hole for inviting my mom to my wedding after she called my fiancé embarrassing? I'm engaged to Tiffany, and I love her with all of my heart. Unfortunately, my mom has never seemed supportive of our relationship, and it's pretty clear to me she doesn't enjoy Tiffany. This has been a huge point of contention between my mother and I, and I've made it clear that she needs to begin making an effort if she wants to be in our lives. She continues to try to get away with excluding her, so I've had to come down hard with boundaries. Recently, my mom was going touring production of a Broadway show that Tiffany has been dying to see but was unable to get tickets to. My mom was going with her sister, who woke up with a fever and chills, so she was going to invite her secretary as her friends happened to be out of town. I told my mom that it was ridiculous that Tiffany wasn't even her fourth choice. I explained this was deeply hurtful and asked her to consider her future daughter-in-law over her assistant. She ended up letting Tiffany go, but when it was time to go, I saw my mom's face change. Tiffany is a huge girly girl and just loves to dress up, which unfortunately she doesn't get many chances to do at the moment. She went all out for her show in a floor-length sparkly number with her hair done at beautiful makeup. Apparently, someone said in the comment section that he showed like OP showed the dress and on his page. I didn't see it because I was gonna put the screenshot in here that the dress had like a lot of cleavage and the show was like gonna be a Frozen theme. So I guess it was inappropriate to say, but you know what I mean. She went all out for the show in a floor-length sparkly number with her hair done up in beautiful makeup. My mom was wearing flare leggings, a sweater, and Converse, and didn't even try to hide her disgust. She asked if Tiffany was aware that no one dressed up for a performing arts center. Tiffany admitted she might have gone a little overboard, but explained she just loves to dress up. My mom complained that she was going to feel embarrassed. I told her to stop and they went on their way. Well, it has recently come to my attention that my mom texted my aunt, including pictures of Tiffany taken without her knowledge, and complained about how embarrassed she was. She said everyone was looking at them and some people were snickering. My aunt was making jokes back and I became furious. I demanded my mom explain to me and she said I was being ridiculous. She said she could talk to her sister about whatever she wanted and we needed to grow up. She blamed me for pushing Tiffany on her in the first place and claimed it was super embarrassing and everyone was giving Tiffany weird looks. I lost it and told her she was uninvited from the wedding if that is what she really thinks. She got really quiet and said okay if that was what I really wanted and said I was unwilling to compromise or make things work. Now the rest of the family is calling me an a-hole and saying I will regret not having my mom at my wedding. But Tiffany feels very happy and supported. Top comment, never in a million years did I think I would side with the mother-in-law over the wife in a story like this. But you are the a-hole. Your mom's not obligated to invite your wife to things, especially one-on-one things. Your wife wasn't being excluded from a family event and forcing your mom to give her extra ticket to someone she doesn't get along with is wrong. I love to dress up as much as the next person, but a floor-length gown is way too much, especially when your mom didn't want to invite her in the first place. I don't know. I disagree and I agree. I just feel like the mother-in-law didn't really like her to begin with. So no matter what the woman did or no matter what the occasion was, the outcome was always going to be the outcome. But what do you guys think? Am I wrong for getting upset when my mom told me that being disabled is my own fault? I, female 18, was run over by a car when I was 6. I was in a coma for a month. One of my legs were crushed beyond repair and had to be amputated. While I was unconscious, my parents couldn't stop arguing, each blaming the other, saying the other was supposed to be looking after me. I woke up to discover my leg missing, and my parents separated. They later got divorced. Mom had primary custody of us, while we only got to see our dad every other weekend. I have 2 brothers, aged 4 and 7 at the time. They both blamed me for the divorce, though as they got over the shock, they realized it was unfair and apologized to me. I discovered recently that my mom has continued to secretly blame me. I had a prosthetic leg, and with it, I'm able to be independent, including taking the public bus to school by myself. On the journey to school in the morning, it's always very busy, and some people have to stand. Most people take this bus every day and know me. And someone always offers me their seat if there are none available when I get on. I can't stand because it's hard for me to keep balance. This morning, there was an empty seat in the section reserved for disabled and elderly people, so I took it. The lady I sat down next to, she looked to be in her late 50s maybe, told me that I shouldn't be sitting there, that I was young and healthy, so I should stand. Also, her friend was getting on in a few stops, and she was an old lady who deserved the seat more than me. I chose not to dignify her with a response, though my younger brother and some kids from my school who heard her were trying to tell her that I did need it. Her friend got on the bus and the lady told me to get up. I didn't move. My schoolmates continued to tell her I needed it, and my brother told me to lift up my trousers so she would see. I told him I wouldn't. This was sadly not the first time I was harassed on public transport, and I was done with the BS. I know I have a right to stay in the seat, and not everyone is able to visually prove their disability, so I refused to do so. The bus driver got involved and told her to stop harassing me or she would have to get off. She would not, so the driver made her get off. Her friend was not made to get off. She listened to my schoolmates and tried to calm her friend down. When I told the story to my mom, she said I was rude and should have given my seat. She said that I wasn't born with my disability. I ended up like this because I was dumb and reckless. It's true that I ran into the road without looking. The driver of the car couldn't stop. It wasn't his fault. He waited with me until an ambulance came and even wrapped his jumper around my wound to stop the bleeding. I was unconscious for this, but witnesses saw it. It was my fault, but I was also 6 years old, and I think I've been punished enough. My mom kept going. It was like a floodgate had opened. She told me if I hadn't been so dumb, I would still have my leg and she would still have a husband. Now I have felt guilty over the years and thought the same thing to myself. Then I'd reassure myself that no one else blames me. My brothers only did because they were young and in shock. Dad even said so himself that the divorce was none of us kids' fault. I couldn't believe that I had actually heard those words come out of her mouth. Mom immediately clamped her hand over her mouth, then started apologizing and said she didn't mean it. I didn't want to listen to her apologies. I was very hurt by what she had told me. I went to my room crying. I decided I didn't want to be here, so I packed my suitcase and called my dad. He told me he'd be right there. After I finished packing, I heard shouting, so I went to the front door where Dad was really laying into Mom. Mom was crying. When she saw my suitcase, she told me I couldn't just leave, but I told her I'm 18 and can do as I wish. And OP just made an update saying thank you guys for all the nice messages. I guess people were supporting her. And then she just said that nothing new happened. There was no news aside from just that she's still with her daddy. She's at her father's house, and her mom's trying to apologize for saying what she said. But honestly, it's really sad to say something to your own child. What does a 6-year-old child know? It's a 6-year-old child. At the end of the day, nobody wants to be amputated, and nobody wants to be missing a leg and be disabled for the rest of their life. I'm pretty sure she already feels guilty for running into the road when she was only a child. And why is a 6-year-old running into... And the thing is, honestly, because kids are so... sometimes kids can be so frustrating. You can watch them the whole entire day, and as soon as you turn around, they will do something that they have no business doing. So anyway, I don't even feel like I'm blaming the parents, but even then, we're being understanding of not blaming the parents. But yet she's blaming her daughter for doing something that a 6-year-old does, which is being reckless and being all over the place. She's 6. 6-year-old children do crazy things they have no business doing. That's why they need parents and guidance and someone to watch them 24/7. But yeah. Am I the a-hole for calling off the wedding after my fiancé joked he was trapped in this marriage? My fiancé proposed 3 months ago. It was a beautiful, intimate proposal, and I loved the idea of telling our future kids about his proposal. I was really excited to plan my wedding. I work in the events industry, and this sort of thing is my passion. My fiancé has ADHD and finds planning very boring. His default response is whatever you want, so I've had full creative freedom, but I'm a little sad he didn't contribute to anything, even the color scheme. My fiancé and our friends were talking about the wedding. I was telling them some of my plans to cut costs down, and my friend made a joke that it was a good thing my fiancé locked me down because I'm a professional. My fiancé joked that he didn't lock me down, I locked him up. He said he was trying to enjoy his last days of freedom before I trapped him in the marriage. I felt really upset that he didn't acknowledge my hard work in planning the wedding, and because he joked that I was trapping him into marriage and that I pushed him into getting married. I decided we should call off the wedding for now. He wasn't interested in getting married. I don't want to marry someone who doesn't enthusiastically want to get married. I talked to my fiancé and said that I'm going to call off the wedding plans and we could reevaluate if he really wants to get married or even stay in this relationship. We haven't sent out RSVPs or booked too many vendors yet, so I want to call it off before it becomes even more expensive mistake. He was very upset that I called off the wedding and said he was just joking. He said it was normal to joke about this. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I've talked with him about his lack of enthusiasm about anything. I don't even need him to have initiative, but an opinion would be nice. He said he doesn't care about the details at all. I let it go after I felt like I was nagging him to have an opinion on something. The joke made me realize that he probably doesn't want to get married. That's where his lack of enthusiasm comes from. We were pretty early into wedding planning, and I want to call it off because weddings are expensive and I'm not sinking more of my money into uncertainty. Figuring out whether he wants to get married will take time, and time is money. I can work with him on figuring that out, but I can't keep a wedding timeline with that. Top comment, not the a-hole. Why do people still think it's funny to joke about hating your spouse, being trapped, the old ball and chain, and so forth? You made the right call, and I couldn't agree more because I hate when people do like the whole, oh, I hate my wife, I hate my husband, I hate my marriage, I don't want to go home early because, I have to see my family. Like, I really do not like that. I've never liked that. I never understood the whole point of being married to someone or being in a relationship with somebody you genuinely do not like. Like, what enjoyment do people get out of that? And I feel like people are gonna say, well, he was just joking. Jokes just sometimes are not jokes. Sometimes people say what's in their head and what's in their heart, and things like these are not funny. They play out later in life, 10, 20 years from now on, when they're deep into this marriage. They have a couple of kids, mortgages, this and that. That's not gonna be funny. So I'm so happy for OP. I'm so glad she actually has the brain cells not to be doing things she has no business doing. AI getting married. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend my brother isn't serious about her? I'm the youngest of three siblings and my eldest brother is already married. He married an Indian girl that my parents arranged for. My other brother is going to also have an arranged marriage and he says he's okay with that. But in the meantime, he's still dating other girls and making it seem like he is serious about them. But then he will discard them later. In my culture, losing your virginity before marriage is still taboo for girls. Guys can apparently do whatever they want. My friend likes my brother and he knows that and is now dating her. I know he will probably try to have her give up her virginity for him and I think it will break her heart to do that and then have him dump her. My friend is half Indian and from her mom's side is from another social class, so my parents would never consider her. My parents are already in talks with the family, and my brother has been chatting with that girl online. He will probably go back home to meet her after this fall. My brother has my friend convinced he will marry her once they are done university. I have been friends with her for nearly a decade. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but I did, and told her my parents and my brother's plan to have an arranged marriage. She was crying because she had already given her virginity to my brother. A week later, my brother comes to me mad because my friend broke up with him, and in their argument made it clear she knew he was going through with marrying another girl, and it's just stringing her along. He is extremely angry with me because no one else could have told her. I admitted it was me, and he yelled at me that is not any of my business. This is literally so sad. It's so sad how misogynistic people at a certain demographic can be because first of all, I'm so happy that OP did this for her friend. OP is definitely a girl's girl, and I love that for her. But it's so sad how some men from from certain demographics know what they want for their lives and what they're gonna do and what they're gonna end up doing anyways. But they string random little white girls or random girls from other cultures along, and they use them like they're some, what do you call it? Some toy to be played with and pleasured with themselves with, and then as soon as they know when they're gonna get married or their family finds something for them, boom, now they're discarded. It's so disgusting, and you would think like this doesn't happen a lot, but it happens a lot. Like you would think like, damn, how many times have I heard a story of certain men from certain demographics, and I'm Somali, so dudes be doing that too, like, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, like, how many times have I heard stories of like a man doing this to some poor girl, either especially like to another white girl, because usually they don't do this within their culture because, like the girl said, like OP said, girls in that certain culture, they don't do that because then nobody's gonna marry them, so they have to watch that. So they do this to like especially white women and things like that, and then like they just use this poor girl, they string her along, they make her feel wanted, they break her virginity, they just use her just for just to pleasure themselves. And as soon as their little mommy and their little daddy finds them a little nice girl from their culture who hasn't seen not a man, not even the sun a day in her life, then boom, the poor girl they've been with for years and years and promising to marry her and promising to do all this and breaking their virginity and everything for them, they're going to discard her. And it's such a sad thing. And it's just so, like, it just makes me so annoyed how misogynistic, disgusting, and disrespectful certain men are. Like, that's, ugh, I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for implying my fiance is paranoid for thinking my mom is going to wear white to our wedding and not wanting to have a talk with my mom? I am currently 2 months from being married to the love of my life, Claire. I don't think my mom is a big fan of her or vice versa, but this is some crazy mother-in-law story. My mom hasn't done anything. It's just tense, awkward feeling when they are both together. Claire admits to not liking my mom and to sharing my suspicion that my mom doesn't like her. I watch carefully for any actual disrespect, but unfortunately, I can't make them like each other. Claire is upset because my mom doesn't have her dress yet. All of Claire's family and friends are over the moon about this wedding, and my mother-in-law has had her dress picked for months and even had a big shopping day with Claire. My mom keeps saying she hasn't had time yet, which has been stressing Claire, as she is a huge perfectionist who hates leaving anything until the last moment. Claire admits she has been super stressed and wedding obsessed lately. She recently came to me and said she was concerned my mom wanted to wear white. I asked why, and she said because. Why else wouldn't she have a dress yet? I pointed out that we all know my mom's lazy and a touch selfish. When she says she's too busy, we both know she means skiing and hanging out with her boyfriend, not actually busy. But she has done nothing to indicate she would show up like that. She's a pretty chill person and hasn't done anything to Claire. Claire said I was implying she was paranoid. I said I felt the wedding stress was getting to her. She admitted it was, but asked if I would talk to my mom. I said sure. I remind her that she needs to get her dress. Claire asked if I would specifically talk to her about the fear of wearing white. I thought about it for a minute and said I wasn't comfortable doing that when she has given us no reason to think she would. Claire got annoyed and said she was being a bad future mother-in-law by not having her dress, and I need to stop worrying about my mom's feelings and worry more about hers. That made me feel like bad person because up until this point I felt I have only been prioritizing her feelings. Am I the a-hole for leaving a dinner party after a girl sat on my husband's lap? I'm still so shook with everything, so sorry for my rambling. My husband Jake and I have been married for 3 years, and from the beginning he was very close with his best friend's sister, Cindy, 18 female. Well, my husband would often talk about her and tell how he had seen her grow up throughout the years. Cindy is always very bubbly and seems very fond of Jake as well. I remember when we were dating, she would ask to come along on our dates a lot. I never really said anything as I liked spending time with her as well. She was a little sister to me. When we announced our engagement, she asked my husband to better not forget her after being a married man and to still hang out with her. Well, we got married and I have made her my bridesmaid. Soon we moved to a different state and kind of lost contact. Now Jake's best friend came to stay with us for some time, and Cindy came along as well. Now, the moment she saw us, the first thing she said was how hot my husband has gotten, and she was glad he didn't look like those boring married men. Then through their stay, Cindy would just ignore my presence and would be way too close with Jake. I told Jake that it was looking a bit inappropriate and to ask Sydney to tone it down, but he said that Sydney is just a bit childish and is that way with everybody. Well, at their last day, we decided to host a dinner party for everybody. During the party, I was with Jake when Cindy came and told me, "Oh, I need to steal your husband for a while." And before I could say something, she grabbed Jake's hand and took him for playing games. I ignored it since it was their last day, but then throughout the dinner, she was getting way too close with Jake and would just drag him away whenever I would be around while giggling at me. When everybody sat for dinner, I sat beside Jake and Cindy came last. She then said, "Oh, there's no seat," and then just went and sat on my husband's lap. Everybody was surprised and Jake said, laughing, "Cindy, stop acting like a kid. You're not a kid anymore." Cindy started laughing, saying it was a joke, and got up and sat on another seat while giggling at me. Yeah, I was so angry with disrespect and with the fact that Jake was so cool with it, but I didn't want to say anything bad, so I excused myself, took my car, and went out. About an hour later, Jake called me asking where I was. I told him I'm going to my friend's house and I will come after Cindy has left. I know what I did was terrible, but I was so angry at that time that if I had stayed there any longer, I would have probably started a fight or crying. I came the next day and Cindy and her family had left. Let me just stop here. Quick break. Sounds like OP's husband is clearly enjoying the attention that he's getting from this Cindy girl, because had he not, imagine if OP was doing this. Do you think if a random man was sitting on her lap and being too touchy, do you think that he would be like so understanding? Babe, it's not a big deal. This is just how he is. Ugh. I just told my husband he needs to maintain a distance with Sydney. He asked if I was giving him an ultimatum. I said if he will go as far as discard and disrespect my feelings for Sydney, this really rubbed my husband the wrong way. And he said since I have such disgusting thoughts in my mind and is giving him an ultimatum anyways, then he might as well leave because he cannot live with such an insecure person who has such disgusting thoughts about him. He packed a bag and left to his mother's place. I have tried apologizing numerous times, telling how sorry I am for everything, but he's ignoring my texts and calls. Oh my god, the gaslighting is killing me. Like, you are in the wrong and you're trying to gaslight someone. Like, he's basically trying to gaslight, gatekeep, and girl boss out of his way in this situation because he knows he's wrong. Later, Sydney's brother texted me and called me a bunch of names to think like that about his sister, saying Jake should just leave me and damn. And a disgusting person like me deserves to be alone. I could not stop crying after that. I don't know how to fix this. Is there a way to even come back? Was I so wrong to deserve this? I don't know anymore. Edit. People who are asking our ages, we are 25 years old, just months apart. So we have an update. Thank you all for responding and people who gave me good advice in personal messages. I couldn't read all the comments, but now I know my feelings are valid and boundaries were crossed by Sydney. Now during the dinner, there was Sydney, her brother Sean, and his girlfriend, and their cousin Derek, also a good friend of my husband, with his BF. So I called Derek and asked about the situation and what happened after I left. He was sympathetic and said that after I left at first, they thought I would come back after some time. However, things were really awkward. But when I didn't come back, Sean's girlfriend told Sydney that she was so disrespectful for doing that. Derek and his boyfriend also said the same thing. To this, Sydney started crying, saying that they didn't have to corner her and attack her over a silly joke, that she didn't know it would get so out of hand. She then left the room while crying. Jake didn't know what to say and everybody left early the next day. Derek also told that Sydney has always had issues with boundaries, and when he introduced his boyfriend to everybody, Sydney would get too close and would joke that she was just checking if he was really gay. They were really uncomfortable with it as well, so Derek confronted her, to which Sydney rolled her eyes and said they can't take a joke eventually stopped. This all sounds so bizarre. I don't know what's going on with Sydney. Sean's girlfriend also texted me saying she was sorry for what happened. I told him how Sean's message was inappropriate, but she had no idea about the text. So I sent her a screenshot and asked her to tell Sean to not harass me again. She was very apologetic and said she would talk to him. Now my mother-in-law called and asked what was going on, as Jake didn't tell her and only said we had an argument. I was a bit hesitant to tell, but eventually told everything. She was furious at my husband. She said they will be coming to have a talk. So yeah, I'm just waiting for them to arrive and really nervous. I don't know if what I did was right or wrong, but we will see. As for people saying my husband is some pedo or they are having an affair, I know this is the farthest from the truth. I never questioned his intentions, but what hurt me was the lack of respect from Cindy towards me. I mean, I don't understand why we're only focusing on Sydney. If I was to be married and my husband was letting some random woman touch on him, grab on him, sit on his lap while he thinks it's a normal thing. It's not normal for someone to sit on someone else's lap, whether you're a man or a woman. That's literally harassment. Like, no, that's not how that works. And Sydney is very weird. She's 18, yeah. But she needs to learn boundaries because she's gonna do this with the wrong person one day, and she's gonna learn why she shouldn't be sitting on people's laps unprovoked. Like, it's disgusting. Like, I don't understand people who just lack so much. I mean, I know 18-year-old is still young, but when I was 18, I wasn't touching, grabbing, or sitting on anybody's lap without their permission. That's weird. Like, she needs to be touched. She needs to be taught consent and not to touch random people, to not touch people and not to sit on people's laps. Like, I understand people, like, what's the disconnect? Don't touch people that I don't want to be touched. I mean, I don't think they're having an affair per se, but I wouldn't be surprised because OP's, every time we read one of these stories and the man is, or the woman is like, it's not a big deal that this person is crossing boundaries and touching me unprovoked, like, da, da, da. It's always an affair. OP should sleep with one eye open, honestly. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Bye.